Hello, how are we all? Happy Wednesday, middle of the week. Um, Say hello when you come on. This is where April's training is. We're going to do this one on Facebook. If you're watching in Cartra, I'll have downloaded it and put it there. I'm going to fix my camera because I've got the camera in the wrong place, which means I'm kind of looking off centre the whole time here. So bear with me. Yeah, that should be a bit better. My plant's given up as well. It's gone wild. So say hello if you're here. This hopefully will be quite an interactive session. So I'm hoping it's not just me, and I'll be interacting with me, which is fine, but probably more useful if if I'm interacting with you. So what I'm going to do on this one is tell you how to plan for events, because you could spend your entire time just going to events. You could be at endless events and then not have time to convert any into money. So there is definitely a bit of a systematic way of thinking about how to plan what events you're going to go to for corporates, and then making sure you maximise them. So that's what we're going to go over today. Who is here? Oh, I can see Sarah is here and Denise is here. Hello, hello. Denise is having a busy week because she is affiliating for my course. She did that with me last year, so she's an affiliate this year for the course, and we're in the middle of the challenge to launch it. And oh my goodness, it is on fire. If you're in there, you're probably seen it. It is so busy. The amount of people who signed up. You normally expect maybe like half or 40% of the people that turn up to your challenge to actually participate. It is way higher than that. It's like 80%. People are busy, they're engaged, they're coming up with ideas. Like I draw so much energy from other people's energy that it's just totally charging me up. Like I'm literally feel like I could run a marathon. I know I cannot run a marathon because I did not train for it, but that's the way it feels. So such good energy on it. So say hello if you're on. Let me just grab my notes, and we will get started. Let's have a little look. Just going to decide where to start. So what we're going to talk about is how to use events in order to get work for your corporate pipeline. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we do it on like a big scale, so strategically, and then how we bring that down to actually having events in the calendar, knowing what we're doing at them, knowing what our expectation is, and converting that to sales. So it's we're going to go from that big strategic picture thinking right down into the detail, and I'm going to do it fairly quick because I want to give time for you to ask advice if you want about where you can start and how you can make it particular for your business. Oh, hello, Lynn. Lynn. So we've got Sarah, Lynn, Denise. So if anyone else joins, say hello. How are they going to know they'll have joined after this? So let's get started. So what I'm going to tell you is that there are different types of events that you can go to, and really what I'm looking at all the time are two things. These are the two main driving factors that I am looking at. Is one, what is the size of that event? And two, what is the relevance of that event? Those are my two big deciding factors, and I'm going to come back to those in a little second. Once I have chosen from them, then I look at what's my likely return on investment, and those are the three pieces that we put together. So let me talk about size of event and why that matters. So the size of event, I don't necessarily think that bigger is always better, because I sell a niche audience for my corporate business. So if you go back to thinking about our pricing strategy, I am selling a boutique product, so I'm selling a high value product, and I only service really. I only need to sell that a certain amount of times at that high value. So I think I'm just looking at who's on. Yeah, you're pretty much all in that space. So I am not looking necessarily at what is the biggest event where I can get in front of the biggest amount of people. If I had something that was low cost and I wanted to sell lots and lots and lots of it, I would be going for what is the biggest event, how can I get myself in front of the biggest amount of people, because that's all about that big sales funnel, and how am I getting all those people into it, because I need high volume. So that's not necessarily what's right for my business. What is right for my business is an event where I can speak to the correct people, and I want to have a bit of an intense dialogue with them. So if it's a huge event, what I'm going to find is that yeah, I'm potting around, maybe speaking to some people, but actually they're working on such a high rate of turnover of people that really what you're getting is like a little bit of awareness raising, and that I don't find all that valuable for my business. You might think actually that is exactly what I need. I want to do a huge awareness raising. I want to speak to 150 people and just let them know that I exist, that I am out there. Then that's fine. You can go to a big event and do that. I tend to look for an event where it's more sort of medium, because what I want to do is find people that have got time to talk to me, and I want to talk to them about exactly Lynn saying she loves intense dialogue. That's what I want. Not have an intense conversation with you, but I want to actually be able to speak to people in a bit more of a level of detail about what I do, because what I already know is what problem I solve for them and what problems they're experiencing and how that shows up, and I can relate that back to what we sell. And I know that like that is an absolute unique selling point that we've got. I can go and hear a little bit about what's going on in their business and hone in on, this is probably what's happening for you. So I will like extrapolate out, well, this is, if that's happening, these things are probably also happening. And they're like, oh my goodness, yeah, that is also happening. And then I'd be like, oh, one of the ways we help people solve that is by doing this. So that really requires like a level of dialogue more than me being like, hey, we do this thing, which they, if I did, say I was going around selling executive coaching, so we do executive coaching, we only do it for one type of people. But if I wanted to sell 50 executive coaching packages, what I could do is go to a big event and say to people, hey, what we sell is executive coaching, I'm going to leave my card with you, hope to speak to you another time. Fine. For our much more niche work, I can't have that conversation because I can't describe it quickly. I have to hone in on what is happening in their business to be able to tell them how we fix that. So I hope that's making sense about the differentiation. So a more obvious product that lands easily, I can do at a big event, but that's not what I choose. So I'm just trying to let you see the difference. So the way you can find out about what the size of an event is by following into their, if you go on their website where someone's advertising an event, if you go into, they'll maybe advertise it as like sponsorship opportunities or business opportunities or hold a stand or whatever. That's where this information will be, because you might not want to sponsor it or take a stand, but before you even decide if you're going to attend, you want to go in and look at that information, because anyone buying stalls or advertising, what they will want to know are the things that you want to know. How many people attend this event? What are the job titles of those people? And what are they there to do? So that's the information that I will always go and look at, whether it's a big event, medium event, small event. I will go and look at who's attending, how many of them are, what are their job titles, and what are they there to buy. Now that information is always available. You might even have to download like the advertisers pack or whatever, because anyone who's spending big bucks, people can be spending like 100 grand to go and buy a stand at these events. They will always make that information available to them. So you might have to almost like follow that trail as if that's what you were doing in order to get that information, and then you can use that for your decision making. So if I give you an example, we were looking at a railway event recently, and I thought, oh, that one looks quite interesting. I'll be honest, do you know why I wanted to go? Because I fancied the location. It's like, oh, I'd quite like to go there. That's going to be tax deductible. I know someone that lives in that city. I could meet them for lunch. So, we're small business owners. We don't have to override those emotional connections. So I thought, I quite fancy that one. So I went in and I looked at it and I thought, oh, 5,000 people over 2 days. That's a lot of people. Well, let's have a look at the statistics. So I went in and I looked at who attends, what are their job titles, and what do they buy. And as soon as I started to read through it, I realised this is not focused on the type of people that I want to work with. Um, I'd probably have a great chat with them. They would be what I would call like an adjacent audience, so they would know the people who buy from me, and I occasionally do that kind of work. But for the amount of commitment of my time and cost it was going to be, it's over in the States, it just wasn't worth it to speak to people who are just kind of nearby me or nearby my clients. So I had to go, I would really like to go there and have a bit of shenanigans, but I can't really justify that in terms of like the business investment that I'm doing. So I had to look and think, those people are really, what they were there, just to give you the context on it, what they were there what they were there doing was looking at operational management of railways. Now I teach that; it's a really lucrative income stream for me. We teach that overseas. It's a big expansion area for us at the moment. So the people I was looking at were going to like a rail operations conference, but when I looked at what they actually did, lots of them had job titles that were around the fleet. So what they were actually doing was they are buying vehicles, so they're buying trains, basically buying parts to repair trains, all of that. They weren't buying training. They're not really the people who would be looking for, they'd be buying training that would be about maintaining trains, operating trains. That's not what we sell. So that level of detail actually told me that, I'll have lovely chats with them, but they're probably not the people that I want to sell this to, and they're probably not in that headspace either. They're there to talk trains. I can talk trains. I know a lot of stuff about trains, but not as much as those people, but it's not the right forum for it. So I hope giving that context is useful, because it's just about giving you the information to think, well, you will know looking at the people on lists of events who you're looking to speak to and who you're looking to buy from. So that's kind of that scale and audience piece. The way we look at this, and I look at this a year and ahead, so we're looking at some stuff we're going to do at the end of this year, but mostly I'm now starting to look at what am I doing in 2024. So you can do this in a couple of ways. You can basically go by local, so some of you don't necessarily want to travel for business. So what you can do is think, well, I'm going to go to, you decide whatever your radius is. Are you going to go to the nearest city? Are you going to go UK wide or whatever? And you can think, okay, I'm going to go to events in that city. And then what I would suggest you do is, for all the cities you're willing to travel to, you go on and look at what's the big event campus. So like for Glasgow, we've got an event campus, which is the exhibition centre and the Armadillo and the Hydro. So I would go and look at those, and I would look at the calendar for the year and see, is there anything there interesting? If it's Birmingham, definitely the NEC, that's what you're looking at. If it's London, you're looking at the Olympia, Excel, you've got quite a few in London. So you look by geographic location. We could cover the whole country here and be here for hours, but you will know, where puts on big concerts and big events. Not likely to be outdoors that often in the UK, it's likely to be indoors. So have a look and see what on that list do you think is relevant to you. So that's doing it geographically. You can do the same as me. You can be like, I would like to go to X place. Have they got any exhibitions on that I could speak at, or that I could look for and attend? So you could do it that way. But that's the geographic way. The next way to do it is to do it by industry. So here is where the trade press, like I'm always telling you, like get into the trade press, get a few copies of whatever industry you want to work with, get their trade press. So you can grab the trade press, go on their websites, and actually have a look at, well, what events are they running. So that might be, trying to look at who's on the call. So CIPD, so Chartered Institute of Professional Development. You might go and have a look at like Google CIPD events, HR events. So look by industry, look for all of those. You can look on Eventbrite as well, but again, make sure that none of you folks are really looking for something that's 4 or 5 people having a coffee. You're looking for bigger professional events. So have a look for those. Again, apply that same criteria. The other one you can do, so I would say, like if you're doing it by industry, you might search rail events, HR events, training events, hospitality events, whatever industry you want to work in. I'm trying to think what industry that some people might definitely want to include. It could be anything. Just put in the industry name and events and look for them. And again, look for what's handy for you. The other way you can do it is to do it by specialism, and that's around what you deliver. So you could look for wellbeing events, and I think for most of you would want to put in like corporate wellbeing events, and then you're looking more into like the kind of expos. So who's going and taking everything they've got to there. Oh, hello, Kerry. Kerry has joined us. She's just travelling. I hope you're travelling safely. I hope you're not driving watching us on your TV. I'm joking, being flippant, because I know you wouldn't. So you can then do it by the type of event that you're doing. So it could be wellbeing, it could be training, it could be, is here. So for Lynn, it could be like comms, PR, you could specialise in that way. So those are the ways that we search. So everything we do start with the search, identify. And actually now that we've got a researcher, I will send Molly like a list of questions. So I've got this, show you here, I've got this 2-page, I ripped this bit off because I had a wee message on it that I wrote to myself. As well as having a chat with myself, I write myself messages. So I wrote to Molly and said, Molly, this week's research brief is, can you identify all the most significant rail and transport conferences happening in the UK, America, I'm just looking at the note here, yeah, UK, Europe and America and Canada. And then I asked her to whittle it down to, can you find ones, and I gave her like a couple of specialisms I wanted, but also went to her and said, I want ones that include light rail, heavy rail, and have the biggest attendees. So on these ones I was actually looking for volume, and that's because I want to go and speak at these events. I don't want to wander around trying to create relationships solely. So you can filter your research in the way you want to go. So once I got that list, what I then looked at is, what are all the dates? Do any of them immediately clash with any work that we've gone on? And a couple of them did. So one that I really want to go to, I'm actually going to be in Canada. So I was like, okay, well that's out. So what I know is, okay, go back and find when that's happening next year and put it in the calendar for next year, because that would be a great event for me to be at. Loads of my ideal client will be there. I know it's got like a really good sort of vibe at it, and I know lots of people I know will be there, so I'll be able to like put a post on LinkedIn saying, hey, is anyone at Rail Live? Drop me a message and we'll catch up. So I'm not going to try and find within 4,000 people, the few people that I know that will be there. I'll make those connections. So we then start to look at, well, what are all of these events? The one I've obviously asked her to whittle it down to ones that accept speaker applications, and then I'm going to apply to speak at all of them. Now, let me just have a wee look at this question from Kerry. Sorry, my webcam arm is in the road. Kerry's question is, I'm a coach and to date have positioned myself as coaching women only. In the previous Q&A, you said that may be a stumbling block for corporates as I'm only providing half of their solution. Please can you expand on this, as I need to make a decision on whether to now coach both genders. Okay, can I answer that at the end and finish talking about just the event bit, unless you need to go, Kerry? Let me come back to that. So that's the way to really structure it, is start with that big picture of, what is it I'm going to get out of events? Am I going there to raise awareness? Am I going there to make connections specifically with people because I want to convert that to work? Am I going to attend because I want to do speaking events and I want, hundreds of people to see me and click on my website and talk about me and buy from me? Think about what your big strategic objectives are, and your strategic objective maybe, I want to go and have a Jeep in Berlin with a bunch of people who do the same thing. Because remember, you'll learn at events as well. You can book into workshops. Then have a think about what's that scale that I want. Then have a think about, am I going to choose by geographic location, by industry, by specialism, and that will help you narrow the field, because otherwise, like, you could literally just go to an event every day for the rest of your life and not actually do any work. When you're going to events, have a think about, what am I going to take with me? What do I need to take to that event with me? What am I going to do with my time? One of the things I do is I make sure that I set a target of how many new people am I going to speak to before I leave. If you're not massively a people person and you don't like speaking to strangers because you're not a weirdo like I am, like to collect people, then you have to set yourself a target of new people you're going to speak to, because otherwise you're wasting your time, and you do not allow yourself to leave until you spoke to that number of new people and told them what you do. So that's a little bit of advice on that. Once you've done that big strategic piece and you've figured out like your specialisms, if you do anything really niche, make sure you're getting to those events. But once you've figured that out, you've got your strategic objectives, now you start to do your tactical planning. How many events are you going to go to in a year? So you can look at them all on your schedule and think, okay, that's 15 or that's 20. How many realistically are you going to go to? And that all relates back to, how much work do you want to bring in? How much time do you want to spend bringing that in? So 15 or 20 might be fine for you. you might actually think, realistically, I only want to go to 3 or 4. So prioritise those ones that are most likely to give you the right people, the right number of people, and the good return on your investment. So no adjacent audience stuff, all focused. If you only want to go to a few, focus on people who will buy from you, people who are your buyers, and you should know who those are. If you don't, make sure you put a question in this group saying what you sell and who you want to sell it to. And if you're not sure what your buyer's job titles are, then put a post in the group and I'll help you figure that out, because it's really important that you're able to hone in on where those people are going in terms of events and turn up at them and find them, because that, like, creating that personal relationship with them is really the best converter. Like, you will always convert people you know who've got to know you in the corporate world way more than anything, and events is an absolutely brilliant way to do that, because like I've done some of these big events and been at the stall. It's kind of a bit dull if people don't come and speak to you. You're just like chatting to your colleague who you may or may not have chosen to spend the whole day with. So you're kind of like, oh, I hope people turn up and chat to us. So turn up and be that novelty factor. Let me have a quick drink. So I'm just looking at my notes because there were a couple of interesting things about like what Molly sent me. Molly's such a good researcher. She always gives us stuff in a really good structure. So what she's done is put on this list for me the name of the conference, the date that it's happened, how often it happens, because, sorry, the name of the event, they're not all conferences, because some of them are biannual, some of them are annual. Then she's put the location for me, then she's put the link to the website, then she's put the number of people, the types, what people are doing there, and just looking through different ones to see if she's given me anything else. Yeah, so what I've asked her, I was wondering why she'd written this note, what I've asked her to provide is a note on whether whether I can apply to speak for free or whether I have to pay to speak. So she's given us all of that. So on one here she's got, there's a specific speakers corner section where exhibitors have an hour to present, but you have to have paid to be an exhibitor. Other ones she's put on for me. There are subcategories at this event, so here's what you can go to: marketing and comms, connecting cities, mobility conferences are all very transport related. Then she's spotted this doing her research. Here are some further events that these people run that are opening later in the year for registration, and again she's put all the locations, one of which I'm like, oh, Houston, Texas, I'd like to go there. And that's actually transit CEOs, so that one I'm like, I think we're making that happen. So that's a good structure that she's got, because what we'll then just do is I'll just ask her to refresh that next year. So you're building this as a resource in the beginning, and then you can just refresh it. What I would say is that despite what websites say, despite all your best research, occasionally you will go along to an event and think, ha, I have been tricked by your glossy website and your informations, and this is not any use to me. And it's not the end of the world. Like, if it's not the right thing, you'll still meet someone that you have a nice discussion with, you'll find something useful, and you'll never go back to that one again, because you'll realise this is not good at all. So I hope that is some useful insight in events. I wanted to leave plenty of time for us to have some discussion about it, so you can either like ask to join me live, or you can write a question in the comments. I'll answer Kerry's question and it'll give you some time to write them up, but ask me whatever you want. I know some people feel like they end up down a rabbit hole trying to decide events, so that's why I wanted to give you, like, here is the detailed structure that we do. So ask your questions. Hey Leslie, you made it along. I seen you were doing a chat. I really wanted to go to a chat. That's a bit inappropriate. You weren't doing a chat, you're doing a training session in Lisa Johnson's You Can Sit With Us membership. I wanted to go, but I had a client at 10, so I'm going to watch it on replay. Leslie was doing a talk about, Leslie, write the name of it. I love the name. Was it like Money and Why I Love You or something, or a loving relationship with money? I'm just making stuff up now, but I liked the title. So Kerry's question, for any of you who have just joined and see new people joining, was that you've positioned yourself as coaching women only, and I said it might be a stumbling block as you're only providing half of the solution. Can I expand on this? Because you need to make a decision on whether you now coach both genders. Okay, so I'll give you a bit of a sort of structural background to it. Sometimes if you're going out to the market to buy coaching and you're in a corporate, you're buying it en masse. So you're buying it for a large group of people. So you might be buying it for 500 people who are all middle managers that are going to that are being primed to move to senior management, and you're buying a batch of it. So for anything like that, where you would be maybe in a bid on your own or in a bid with others, having that gender barrier on it, that would generally pretty much rule you out of that, because what they don't want in the corporate is to have to divide all of that up and be like, okay, well, only this many people can go to this person. So that's where it would be a stumbling block. There might be some corporates who don't work with coaches that do any gender split, just because they don't want that logistical management of it, basically. However, you will have lots of places that you can go where they're actually running programs that are specifically targeted at women, so trying to increase the number of women in senior roles, that you would definitely, like, you would be niche for them. You have lots of places where actually they have women who want coaches who work specifically with women. So that was really like my thought, is that you will definitely rule some work out, but you may be fine with that, Kerry. And what I would say is, like, if that's what you want to do, if you think, no, actually I really want to just focus on coaching women, you can do that. Like, you don't have to open it up more widely. There are some people who do that. There are some people who I know exclusively coach men, but they actually never advertise that because it just would not land well. But they just make sure all their marketing is very masculine language, and that's what they tend to focus on, and they're actually not all men. So I think it really does depend on, like, what's your feeling, Kerry? Like, what are you feeling drawn to do? Oh, there's Leslie's put the title in. I was coming up with some mad ramblings there. The title of Leslie's talk was Dear Money, a Love Story, not Hey Money, I Love You. I don't know where I got that from. Dear Money, a Love Story, yeah. I like that. I've done a lot of money mindset work over the last... when did I start doing it? When was lockdown? Goodness, we've got those lockdown years as lost. Maybe 2020, 2019. Basically, I suddenly made a lot of money really quickly in my business, and it brought up a whole lot of stuff that is like, I think this is problematic for me emotionally. Like, it wasn't problematic really financially, I was delighted, but I was kind of freaked out by it, and I did a lot of money mindset work, learned loads of stuff. My husband and I had done some work on it together, and you know that way you think, oh, I've got that, it's fixed. And recently some new stuff has come up that I'm like, oh, I need to revisit some of this. So I'm going to watch Leslie Thomas's Dear Money, a Love Story. So Sarah is saying, I went to a corporate wellbeing event recently, and although I spoke to lots of people, most of them are providing solutions to corporate rather than people from corporate organisations. Do you have any tips on how to get in front of potential clients at these events? Or maybe it was the wrong type of event. So it could be one of two things. It could be that it's the wrong type of event. So if you're at an expo, so an exposition is lots of people there are exhibiting, and they are there to sell to the people wandering around. Now, you can still go to those and find the right people, but what you need to realise is that they are not likely to be the people at the stalls. They are likely to be the people wandering around. So the way you want to connect with them is, you want to attend some of the workshops, you want to be sitting next to them. Hey, what do you do? Well, this is what I do, because they're actually your buyers. Your buyers are the audience, not the exhibitors. And I will definitely go to some of those things. Like, I will go to project controls expositions, so I actually speak at that. And I know that I might make some sales to the people that are on the stands, but actually the people wandering around, they're my people. So, and I know my strength is like in dialogue with people. So I'll be like having a coffee with people. I will go and find groups of people and have a chat with them, because I know the audience there. And that might have been what was happening for you. The other thing, Sarah, that's really good is, for the type of work you do, you want to be thinking about events that are smaller, that are basically run by professional institutes. So when I worked in corporate, where you would find me a lot of the time is things run by like the Association of Project Management, the Chartered Institute of Railway Operators, the Institute of Environmental Management and Assessment, the Institute of, I just forgot the word, Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, so, the Rail Safety and Standards Board, who are slightly different, but all those professional institutes are places that I would be a member of individually and at a corporate level. So I would be there, and I was, you know, spending a lot of money as a buyer at that time, but I would be at those events for my CPD because I needed like 30 hours of CPD every year for each of them. Now, a lot of them I could do one piece of CPD and it would satisfy all 4 of those professional institutes, but some I would have to be at specialisms. Those institutes, and I work for 2 of them, and I'm a volunteer in the committee for one of them as well. All of the time they are having to put on events for members. Members pay a fee to be in a professional institute. It's a mark of professionalism. All these people are employed in corporate from, you know, some from entry level right up to exec level. These are also being, as well as being there as members, they're there as buyers. So I would do my shopping for my professional team. So I had 300 people that I was a professional head of service for. I would be at those professional institutes attending these different like CPD events, which would be all sorts of stuff. But I'd also be looking for what would be really good for my team. So I would be looking for what's new, what's interesting, what's innovative, what's relevant, and approaching those people afterwards to buy from them. So they can be a really good place for you to go, Sarah, and either offer to deliver events, so put stuff on, whether that's virtually or in person. There's loads of virtual events from professional institutes, or you can be asking if they're open to having people attend. Sometimes they'll let you attend them occasionally. If you know you want to be in a particular industry, it's worth maybe getting associate membership if it's quite a low price, and then you can go to some of those events and make connections. Like they're really sociable, very, very sociable. When people say, oh, like, where do people in corporate hang out? I'm like, at their professional institute events. That's where I would be during the week. They tend to be Monday to Friday anyway. That's where I would be during the week, a lot of the time after work. When I was in Glasgow, I'd be at them here. When I'd be in London, when I worked down there, I'd be at ones in London, but I'd also be at other ones like Reading, Swindon, wherever was sort of just out of London. So they are a really good place for you to be. For any of you who are in coaching, health or wellbeing services, really good place. Like, I'm seeing loads of that stuff now, especially post-COVID. There's lots and lots of people putting them on. You might have to offer to put it on for free for a professional institute. Sometimes they'll pay, sometimes they'll ask you to do it for free, but you're getting yourself in front of a professional audience of people who buy from you. So I hope that is useful, Sarah. And the thing is, yet sometimes you will go to an event and it's kind of different from what you thought it was going to be, and you find out actually these people really these people aren't people that are going to buy from me, or someone who you think, oh goodness, I hope these people don't buy from me because I don't want to sell to them. I've been at an event that I thought, I will never be here again, and I will never be working with any of your people, because all of my instincts were just like this: run away now. I listen to my instincts when it says that. Nicola's saying, you're also focused on women in B2C, but for B2B you're changing to general, but you've changed your bio to say you specialise in women's health. And Kerry's saying, yeah, women, but you do believe it's a blocker and it'd be easier to sell if both genders. It's not impossible. I wouldn't want to push you down a road of saying you have to do both genders, but it can. For someone who's a buyer, it can be a bit tricky when you bring someone in and they only serve part of your population, especially because we have more than 2 genders in the workplace now. So it can just be tricky for them positioning you. You can say that you specialise in working with women, because then what will happen is a lot of the men who don't want to work with you won't anyway, but you will actually have some men who particularly want to work with someone who specialises in women, because they've maybe drawn to you for a variety of reasons. I definitely think it's easier because you'll pretty much end up with the people that were going to work with you anyway. I genuinely feel that, but it's definitely easier messaging if you say that this is broader. But if you want to do women only, by all means you focus on that. You know, there's millions and millions of people who need coaching in the corporate environment, so it's not like you're narrowing your field at all. If you're looking at a coach at a very senior and exec level, you are narrowing the pool, because despite what we see about statistics, we know that there's a smaller number of women in that corporate field at the top, and actually in some companies the number's reducing at the moment. Right, let me have a look and see. Nicholas saying, I've experienced this too at a lot of networking I've been at. It's more providers than potential buyers. Yeah, so if you joined a little bit later on, what I was saying is, if you're looking at an event, if it's a big event, go to like where there's usually like a page that will say something like sponsorship opportunities or marketing or exhibit here. I'm not suggesting you go and exhibit or sponsor it, but go in and get their downloads, because that will tell you who attends, what their job titles are, because that's the information you need to know. Because if it's clear that everyone is there to sell, that's not necessarily the right environment for you. What I will say to you is, I can't believe I haven't said this already actually, meet the buyer events are things that you all want to be going to. Emma is not here today because she's actually got a stand at a meet the buyer event in Edinburgh. I think she's going to do so well from it. And hopefully she'll come in and share that with us. But meet the buyer events are for you, because that's buyers, that is procurement people, managers. They are out there saying, come and sell me your stuff. Like, they're such a good investment for you. Even if you said, the only events I'm going to do are meet the buyer, and I'm going to put my time, my resources and my energy into doing that, that would be a really good way for you to go. Like over in the free group, Rachel Watson, who until maybe I met Rachel 8-10 weeks ago, something like that, she was in Anna Payne's group, who's in this club, and Anna had asked me to speak to her membership. Rachel was at that and was like, oh, I never actually thought I could get corporate clients. What should I do? I was like, go to a meet the buyer event. She got asked yesterday to submit a tender. I think she'll get the work. I think she'll win it. So they're a really good way to accelerate that process. So even if it does mean like travelling, getting a hotel, you know that the audience is there. That's a guaranteed audience. The other stuff, you're having to do the research, and it can be like a little bit of a gamble. I think that's really a good investment for you of your time. And if you think, oh, the thought of just doing something like that fills me with dread, like, we could all put some ideas in about what ones everyone would love to do, and we could meet up and go to them together. Like, I'm really happy to be there and sort of cheerlead you on through that. You do have to split up once you're at them and talk about your individual businesses, but if people wanted to say, like, I just want a bit of safety in numbers, then really happy to do that. I totally take for granted how comfortable I am now, like travelling on my own, eating on my own, staying on my own, going and speaking to strangers, because I'm comfortable with it now. But I can remember when the thought of like dining alone in a restaurant was just absolutely horrifying. And it's like, I just feel like I'm sitting here naked and vulnerable and judged and everything. Now I literally am like, oh, love this. Let me just have a little bit of a look here. So Lynn is reading Bhagavad Gita. It talks about focusing on duty, growing wealth, but having non-attachment to it. That works for me. Oh, I'm going to get that book then. I'm not my car or home size, but I welcome lots of wealth so I can live as much as possible. That's very much me. Like, Lynn knows this. I'm not actually driving about. I bought my son an old Mini a couple of years ago from it pass his test. He hasn't passed it, so if I need to drive, I drive a bit in that. I am not into cars as a status symbol, and I offer no judgment to you if you do. If you love that and you drive a very high-end car, I appreciate that is what motivates you. It's not for me. Not really massive on home size. I like to jaunt about doing stuff, and I like to be able to be good to the people I care about. Yeah, money's for living for me. My husband is a consumer, and his ADHD, when his ADHD is not managed well, that accelerates, and I sometimes have to go, look at all this stuff, look what we did, we turned our money into stuff, and I think we've got enough stuff now. But yeah, I'm much more into jaunts and good times and not working until I drop dead. I'm going to get that book then, Bhagavad Gita. Julie is saying, I'm going to a local council event on Friday that is hopefully full of my ideal clients, local businesses already invested in well-being. I was invited through going to an expo and talking to a stall holder and then having a one-to-one. Love that journey, that's really good. And they've already asked me if I want to present at a future event, so this is me checking it out. I see expos as a chance to find potential collaboration. Yeah, that's a really good thing at expos. Sometimes you'll see people that are much bigger or they're much further on than you, or they're small, and you realise, oh, if we team up, we can do this. I love a good expo, but I'm pretty choosy about how I spend my time at them. Yeah, well done, Julie. That sounds great. Keep us posted on how that goes. Leslie's saying another great book to process a big change in money is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I think I may have that. I don't know if I've read it. I'm sure I've got that. 60% of people who win the lottery in the US, it's an American book, end up back where they were or worse, as they cannot make the mental shift needed to hang into their financial situation. And you'll do a podcast on that particular challenge. Thanks for the idea. Yeah, I didn't know until I done the money mindset work that we have like an upper limit on our money sort of comfort zone, and that's kind of what happened. Is like I went over that upper limit and was like, oh my goodness, what will I do with all of this? What will I do with all of this? And I'm an overgiver. That's in my nature. So I knew I have to make sensible choices here with this, because this is too much money to give away. I put a ton of it in my pension actually, and that felt actually quite boring, but also felt like when it comes to the point that I no longer want to work, I will be very grateful that I made that choice. Kerry is saying the other dilemma is I have is my branding is my name, Kerry Jones Coaching. How important is it to create a more generic brand name when approaching corporates? I see a mixture, but again, what's your gut feeling? Oh, we've actually just had a discussion this morning in my team about this, because we have a client who's creating a brand of her own separate to the brand that she's known for. I think in coaching you can go either way. I think you can be known for your name, or I think you can create a company name. And what I would do is it's a mix of your gut feeling and actually your exit strategy. So how are you going to exit Kerry Jones Coaching? What's that going to look like when you decide, okay, I've made all this money, or whatever it is your milestone, and I'm no longer going to work. What's going to happen with Kerry Jones Coaching? Because what you do not want to do is sell your name. Because if you sell your name and you decide to do something else, that's not great. So you may at some point want to have a brand name for your coaching that you can sell that whole business and that whole business model. If you think, absolutely not, I'm just going to stop, then it doesn't really matter. I think the nice thing about having your name and your brand is that people make that immediate association with you. So quite often you will talk about bringing people in a corporate environment rather than necessarily a business. So I know that one of the people that I work for, I deliver sometimes exec coaching for him, or we actually do some other quite technical stuff for him. People always talk about him by his name, but they know what his company name is as well. But no one ever says bring in this company. They always say bring in this guy. And then someone will be like, oh, is that, this company? So it's kind of interchangeable. I would say he is his brand, but I know that the reason that he has got a company name is because his exit plan is to sell his business. So that's why he used to have his name and he changed it to this other business. I feel like for you, Kerry, I feel like are you maybe in the situation where you feel like you've got a couple of big decisions here to make to really push this out there? Because tell me if I'm barking up the wrong tree, that my instinct is that you feel like you've got a couple of big decisions here to make, and they're probably going round and round and related to each other. You can let me know. I have both. So my corporate business has a corporate, yeah, you're stuck. That's what I was that's what my gut instinct was telling me. What I would say then, let me give you a little exercise to try. I don't know if you work best on whiteboards or paper or electronics. Write down a few of the business name ideas you come up with. Don't overthink them, and write down Kerry Jones Coaching, and then put it away for a few days. Take it back out and look at it and think, what is it every time I'm telling people who I am, putting out my website, putting out my post, which of these directions do I want people to be seeing, and see if that helps you. If it doesn't, come post a message in here and we'll have a chat about it, because I think your name works. Like, you've got a good name, it sounds good, but I feel like maybe you think there's something bigger in the future ahead, and maybe that actually needs a brand name, because your name is really for like a solo operation, whereas a brand name is really if you're going to maybe bring in associates and expand in the future and maybe exit it and sell it. My business advice, and people can choose what they want to do with their businesses. My business advice is, if you have a business that works, you always want an exit plan that you change into cash at the end. Doesn't matter if it's £10, 10,000, 100,000 or £1 million. You built something you want to exchange out of it, partly because I think it's emotional closure as well as financial closure. So have a think, Kerry, because I don't want to push you. If you're stuck, I don't want to push you in one particular direction, because this has to be the choice that works for you. I have both. My corporate business is called Sea Change International Consulting. I don't think many people talk about hiring Sea Change because we are niche, so most people will say that they'll use my name, but that business needs to have that business brand because of the type of work that we do. So it has to be branded with, because I need to own my intellectual property, because twice it has been stolen. Once by someone who is actually a client and kind of I wouldn't say she's a friend, but she's kind of an acquaintance, but she's actually put my work out as hers. That's actually mine, and the only thing you've done is taken my brand off it. So I need that intellectual property branding, but also the corporate environment I work in, it needed to have that brand. And we do have associates. We have quite a few associates doing different work, and sometimes I'm an associate to someone because I'm just really validating the work that they're doing on their behalf. So that needs to come with like our brand identity on it, not my name. And also, when I started the business, my intention was always my exit will be I'll sell all of this to a bigger corporate who either loves what we do and wants to replicate it as I retire, or hates the fact we keep beating them in bids, and just wants to buy us out and stop us doing it. So that's Sea Change, and we've got a small property business as well. That's also got the Sea Change brand, although technically it's a separate company. The work I do with small businesses, so with you guys, that's all under my own name. And I occasionally do the same thing as you, Kerry. I go, should I have a name that's not my name? And I think part of that is like a little bit of that humility of like you're kind of fighting the fact that your name is your business. You're like, is that a bit weird? having just be my name? But I was speaking to a team this morning, they're like, no, you're working with small, because I say maybe we should call it something else, and we should call it the corporate method, and we should have the website like that and redirect everything. And they're just like, no, like, you're dealing with small businesses, it's all about being able to establish yourself with them as a brand and being able to build trust. Like, the corporate method sounds too corporate. It sounds like a corporate business, not a small business. So I go around that wheel every now and then as well. And actually, I know they're right. Let me just have a look. Yeah, it's your corporate hat. I think when I asked businesses to pitch to me in Barclays, they were never personal brands. Yeah, I think your instinct is probably right, that you want to have a corporate name on it. Loads of people are still going to say, oh, it's Kerry Jones coming in to do coaching. But if you want to scale big and you want to have others in it, they will like being under a brand that's not got your name attached to it. Lynn Murray's saying, I do that too. Worry about powerful voiceover as it might be limiting, but no voice means so much, and we had to start somewhere. Yeah, I think for you guys, like, you need to have something that says what you do, so that people immediately go, oh yeah, it's voice. And words are important when your business is voice, isn't it? So I think you're absolutely right. Let me have a quick drink and go back. There's a couple more questions here. Sarah's saying, do you have any advice on how to find meet the buyer events but haven't really found anything to attend? So we usually post them in the free group, so you can search in there. We're actually going to have a more structured way of doing that in future because people ask for it all the time. Register for the big ones. Like there'll be little ones that you're not that interested in, but think about who you want to work with and then look for them relevant to that. So Sarah, do you work with the NHS? Like register for the NHS ones and they'll update you. Register for the public procurement ones. If there are any particular clients you're desperate to work with, drop the list into this group and we'll have a look and see if we've got any links that we can give you for people that update them. Google is okay for them, but what I would say is Eventbrite can be quite good for showing you them. And then particular companies, it's worth signing up with them. You can see over in the challenge, people are like, oh, tell me where the Meet the Buyer event list is for the whole of the UK and the procurement list for the whole of the UK. They don't exist. Like they just don't exist. There are people who you can pay quite a lot of money to curate them for you, but you do have to do a bit of the legwork. That's part of what we try and sort of curate for you. And if I see we probably see 50 Meet the Buyer events in a month. Some of them I know that's not that good, or it's not got the right people, or it's got 2 people going. So we'll try and curate them and generally post into the free group. I can post them in here if people want as well, if that's useful. But we try and just let you know like what ones are particularly good for people. Like the one that Emma's at today, I think is one that we sent into this group and the free group and said, look, this is a good event. Let me see. That's all the comments. Any more? Feel free to ask anything on events or anything else that you want to ask. So drop a message in this group about what events you would like to go to, and I'll send you any links that we've got for them. I'll be honest, I don't actually go to a lot of Meet the Buyer events at all anymore because our pipeline's kind of flown. But I still like to keep an eye on them because occasionally there'll be like a client on my pipeline notice board that I know I have to find someone in that organisation to create a rapport with, and that's how I'm going to get them as a client. So I'll keep an eye out for them, and obviously we've got clients that we recommend go to them. Yeah, Kerry, email me your pricing and I'll have a look at it. What I would say is chase me if I don't get back to you. That this is the busiest month of the year for us. Some of our corporate work, the date changed on it, so it's happening at the same time as the challenge. I go to Canada on Saturday and we are doing 2 weeks of assurance work, and one of the consultants going has a bit of a health issue, so I have to create more time so that he can lean a bit more heavily on me in the next 2 weeks. So we're doing our best to keep on top of everything, but if something slips through the net, it's just chase me for it. But yeah, if you send it to me actually before, probably if you send it to me before Sunday, then Sunday I'll be doing loads of reading and stuff on the plane and chilling out at the airport. So if you send it to me before Sunday, I'll get it back to you. Once we go into next week and the following week, it will be a bit busy, and I'll have my out of office on for the next 2 weeks, basically saying like, email my PA for the diary, everything else like we'll wait to sort of the 9th of May or whatever when I come back. Yeah, do it just now and I'll get back to you. So that is us for today. Anything else that comes up afterwards, give me a shout. And if not, I'll see you next month. I'm going to go and look on the list on the poll of what the second choice was for training next month. Oh, I also forgot, Hannah Costello asked me this morning, for any of you who are buying the course, when the cart opens this week, you do get a discount because you're club members. You get a discount of £400, which is a lot. So the code is club member, all one word, and the C is a capital. I'll post it in the group. If any of you forget, just message me and we'll send it over to you. Don't buy it without the code because you're throwing away 400 quid. Thanks for joining. Always love to chat to you folks. We need to get our dates in the diary soon for our meetups, and that will happen soon. So I will look forward to seeing you all in person soon. Have a good rest of your day and good rest of your week, and speak to you soon. Bye.